Schlosberg.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of the San Diego Union Tribune, and we are doing a special edition of the Community Spotlight Show here from the San Diego Union Tribune Successful Aging Expo. It is the Town and Country Resort and Convention Center up to 4 o'clock. It is free. We got great exhibitors. We got great speakers. There's food. There's you name it. And if you want to learn about how to successfully age, you need to come down here. This is the place to be, and we are thrilled to have on the air with us Michael Gaddis, who's the CEO and broker for Frontier Loan Group, Inc. How are you doing there, Michael?
I'm doing great.
Well, thanks for coming down and talking about all the cool stuff that you do. How long have you been in business?
About 14 years I've been doing reverse mortgages.
Reverse mortgages. So we certainly have heard about this in the not too distant future. A lot about reverse mortgages. First of all, explain what a reverse mortgage is, and then maybe dispel some of the myths behind it.
Well, I'm glad you said the word myth, because there's a lot of myths and misconceptions regarding reverse mortgages.
Yeah.
But in general, what a reverse mortgage is, it's an opportunity for seniors over the age of 62 to basically take advantage of any equity they have in their house to help which basically allows them to have a higher quality of life by utilizing that equity.
Right. So, and 62 is the floor on that?
That's right. That's the beginning age for it.
Right. So you've got, let's say, $400,000 worth of equity in the house and all that business. Why wouldn't you just take that equity, sell the house, and stick it in the bank?
Well, there's a couple different reasons.
Yeah.
One is assuming that in the example you gave, your house is paid off, or is there a mortgage?
There's a mortgage. Let's say you owe $200,000, but you got about $600,000 in equity, so you can net $400,000.
Okay, well, let me give you an example.
Yeah.
There's an 80-year-old lady that called me recently from Oceanside, California. She had a mortgage payment of $1,100 a month. Her income every month was $1,800 between Social Security and a small pension from Boeing. She didn't make enough to cover all her costs. I mean, her property taxes, her insurance, her car payment, all her credit card bills. She was supplementing $900 a month in order for her to survive. When she called me, she only had $2,500 left in the bank. So she basically had about 2.5 months before she hit point zero, where she couldn't subsidize anymore, and she was in danger of losing her house. So what we did was we talked to her about a reverse mortgage. We eliminated her mortgage, right? Her payment.
Sure.
So she no longer had the $1,100 a month that she was taking out of her net disposable income every month. So that immediately prevented her, or stopped her from having to subsidize from her savings account, allowing her to continue to live in her house. Whereas if she didn't do that, she would have had to sell her house and been forced to do something. And she had no heirs, she had no children, no relatives whatsoever.
Well, that's a great example. Well, can she be in the house indefinitely? Is there a time limit on this?
She can stay in her house for as long as she lives in the house,
right,
or until she passes away. So in other words, if for some reason she has to go to an assisted living facility and she ceases living there for at least 1 year,
right,
then at that point in time she would have to, the note could come due, they can call it due.
Right.
However, the general is that you can live in there as long as you live.
Right, that's great. We're chatting with Michael Gaddis. He is the CEO and broker of Frontier Loan Group. He also has his own show, the Michael Gaddis Show, on KCBQ AM 1170. The Answer, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on this aspect of it. So what are some of the myths? Because we hear about this all the time, and people are probably talking like they don't know what half they're talking about.
They don't.
Okay. Give me some myths about that.
Well, number one myth, you lose title to your house. That is not true. The house stays in your name.
Right.
It remains in your name. That is absolutely the number one myth that I encounter.
Right.
Other misconceptions is that basically that the bank is basically, when you die, any equity no longer is yours, it goes to the bank. So basically the bank takes possession of not only title, but it takes possession of all your equity. You're basically just handing your house over, which is not true either. Because if you pass away and there's any equity remaining, it goes to your heirs.
Right.
You just have to sell or either pay off the existing note or sell the house, just like you would in any other mortgage. Right. Except for, in a reverse mortgage standpoint. In a forward mortgage, a lot of times your heirs will continue to make the payments and the bank doesn't really care, even though technically the note says that it comes due. Right. In a reverse mortgage, they do want their money back when the borrower does pass away.
Sure, that makes all the sense in the world on this. Are you seeing more and more younger folks exploring this? I know it doesn't kick into your 62, but they're going, you know what, I'm 58, that's the new 38 these days, Michael, that's what I'm going with, at least. I better start looking at this. Are you seeing get a little bit of a younger clientele, at least exploring it?
Absolutely, I am. I think that what it is that, as people get older, they want to live a quality of life, right? You don't work your entire life to live, on a strict budget when you retire. So this is an opportunity for people, especially in California where they've accumulated a lot of equity, to be able to tap into that equity and to help supplement their retirement living and have a better quality of life. And there's no reason you shouldn't do that.
Right. And of course, I think one of the keys and the basis for you is, listen, trust is everything. You've got to find the right broker that has your interest in mind and not the broker's interest.
Well, that's true. And as you mentioned, I have my own radio show, and I had that 80-year-old woman I was mentioning earlier. She was with another broker, and she called me and told me that after listening to my show that she was a little bit concerned with this broker, and she wanted to know if I could, maybe take a look at her situation. I asked her what she was nervous about, and she said, well, first of all, every time I ask him a question, he seems to gloss over it, the answer, or he basically just doesn't answer it at all. So I said, send over the good faith estimate that he gave you. So I took a look at it, and in 30 seconds, I could tell that this guy didn't have her best interest in mind, because where he put her expected interest rate was above a certain level that affects her eligible principal balance. What that means is that he was charging her such a high interest rate, it was affecting how much money she could borrow. So after they paid off her mortgage, there was only a $5,000 line of credit. And he was charging her origination fee, and I never charge origination fees in that situation. So when I ran my numbers, that line of credit went from $5,000 to $25,000, just like that. She was like, I don't understand, how can you do it? I said, all I had to do is basically change a few of these numbers around, and look what it did to you to benefit you. I said, it's not illegal what he was doing, it just he wasn't looking at your best interest.
Well, it all comes down to ethics anyway. There's a lot of things that people do that aren't illegal, but they're not ethically right.
Well, and that's true, and because of nature, I'm a licensed California attorney in another world.
Right.
My ethical standard, because even though I'm not practicing law in this particular instance, I'm still by the bar held to a super high level. So if I do something in another discipline or something else, it affects me. So everything I do is after my client's best interest. It's just I'm required to do it in so many levels of ethics.
No, we should be doing that anyway. We're chatting with Michael Gaddis. He's the CEO and broker of Frontier Loan Group Incorporated. I'm Drew Schlosberg. We are live from the San Diego Union Tribune Successful Aging Expo here at the Town and Country Resort and Convention Center. Come on down to the expo. It goes on till 4 o'clock today, Saturday the 30th of April. There are exhibitors. There are 150 plus speakers, meet folks like Michael. And I think one of the keys about coming down to this expo, and you're shouting it out right now, is that it's incumbent upon all of us as we age to take responsibility for our own, whether it's our financial interests, like what you deal with, or health, whatever the case may be. Because the bottom line is no one's going to do it for yourself, absolutely in this aspect of it. So how can our listeners help support your efforts? Obviously, if they got some people in mind that they go, you know what, my Uncle Joe might be a great candidate for this, can they contact you? Can they go to your website?
Yeah, they can go to my website at frontierloangroup.com. They can also find me on my KCBQ webpage. If you go to kcbq.com, you can find my podcast and my contact information there as well.
Right. Do you see any of laws moving forward that are going to do anything to be harmful reverse mortgages or make them easier to get?
Well, actually, they made some recent changes, last year that really affected reverse mortgages. They put a financial assessment requirement in there, and they allowed non-borrower spouses who are under the age of 62 to be put on the loans. At least as in the capacity of a non-borrowing spouse, which gives them the right to occupy the property until they pass away as well. So there has been some recent changes which have definitely helped people who are looking for reverse mortgages.
So that's good. Do you see that continuing to grow in that area as more and more people take advantage of this?
I absolutely do. I think that more and more people are starting to do it. There's a statistic that says that over 10,000 people turn age 62 every day in the United States. Over 10,000 people every day. So as more and more people hit this demographic, there's definitely going to be more and more interest in making sure that people are protected and making sure that they're making the right decisions. And whenever they're looking into reverse mortgages, the one thing I do, it's just because of my educational background and everything, I believe in due diligence and education. Right. You have to learn about it. And I'm not talking to go into some little tertiary little DVD and, I know everything. You don't know everything from a DVD.
Right.
And you have to, for example, when I sit down with a client, it takes me about an hour and a half to 2 hours just to go over the nuts and bolts and mechanisms.
Right.
I almost give a test at the end to make sure you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
I want you to understand it because that's the best way for you to make a decision going forward.
Well, and again, they're going to have to have all the data in front of them and whether they want to go there or not, or maybe they're not ready for it.
That's right.
But maybe in 2 years, you know what? My goodness, Michael gave me this information. He said, I'm not quite sure you're ready to be doing this reverse mortgage. I'm sure you'd tell someone
I
that.
do challenge people sometimes. I have people who come in and I'm like, I need you to tell me why you think you need it.
Right.
Tell me why, because I'm looking at your numbers. Your net disposable income is very high already. It doesn't seem like you have a need. Tell me what you think the reverse mortgage is going to do for you. And I almost play the devil's advocate to kind of make sure that they understand what they want and why they want it, because I don't want to push anybody. I don't want anybody to ever accuse me of pushing somebody into something. That's not what I do.
Right, exactly. We are chatting with Michael Gaddis, who's the CEO and broker of Frontier Loan Group. We are live from this Union Tribune Successful Aging Expo. You can also hear Michael on the Michael Gaddis Show on KCBQ AM 1170. The answer Wednesdays at 8 p.m. and then go to his website, which is
FrontierLoanGroup.com.
Right, get some great information on this aspect of it. We've got about 20 seconds to go. Final advice for people.
Final advice: if you got a reverse mortgage within the last 2 to 4 years, you really need to look into doing a refinance because of 3 factors. 1, the values have gone up. 2, your age has gone up. And 3, they changed the percentage for borrowing based on age. So reverse mortgage refinances, look into it. And then if you have any other need or you're thinking about doing it, just call my office. There's no obligation. I'll sit with you for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and go through everything with you.
Michael, what a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. Wishing you nothing but great success moving forward.
Thank you so much.
You bet. I'm Drew Schlosberg of the San Diego Union Tribune, and you're listening to a special edition of the Community Spotlight Show here on UT San Diego WS Radio. We are San Diego's online radio. Great job,
man. That was fun.
You did a great job.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, as if he doesn't know how to do this.
What's that? Oh, yeah.